Next guy that thought, you know what, I am invincible. I might have some things that have bumped up against in my lifetime, but I'm invincible. I'm going to be just fine. I'm going to work out. I'm going to get on my exercise bike. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to swim. I'm going to be fine. Even though my heart got up a little, my heart blood pressure got up a little bit, even though I added some extra pounds, I'm going to be just fine. I'm a cancer survivor. I beat those things. But the reality of it is, no one told me what insulin resistance was. And when I was diagnosed with diabetes, well, that's where it hit me right where it hurts. Guys, I'm Coach Ken, and I am the nutrition coach and the wellness preacher that addresses insulin resistance and tries to help educate people on what you can do to deal with it, to identify and explain what is insulin resistance and how can we fix that? How can we repair that? How can we have life and hope again in the simplest way possible? I want to explain that. Now, each and every week I try to bring in, or each and every day, I try to bring in different experts in different areas about nutrition, about overall health, that help to explain these in some very simple ways, from doctors to nurse practitioners to neurosurgeons to dentists to nutritionists and registered dietitians. We're talking expand, really across the board. It's all about this right here: how to reverse insulin resistance. So today, on my usual ones, I like to have a friend of mine, colleague, Dr. Kenny, who just does a great job of explaining this, the protocol that we use, but I'm going to go into detail beyond that. So after we hear from Dr. Kenny, we're going to go into the 4 questions that I ask. How are you eating? How are you exercising? What are your extras? And who are you encouraging? The life of reversing insulin resistance and getting our health back is far more than just taking a jabby jab or an M&M from a little container. It has to do with our lifestyle. So, Dr. Kenny, take this away and tell us a little bit more about insulin resistance.
Looking for this, but I feel so blessed to get the opportunity to do this. And it changed my life. Why would I not do the same for? And gosh, a year and a half ago, I nearly died. Very thing that I'm going to be sharing with you. I spent almost 2 months of my life in the hospital, and it was a disaster. I mean, I had every sign of insulin resistance. I had belly fat that would not go away. It didn't matter how much I ran on a treadmill. It didn't matter how much I restricted my calories. I was developing skin tags. I had inflammation throughout my body. My right shoulder, I couldn't sleep on it. I pitched in high school and college. I'd always been very active. Megan, kind of like you and I had spoke about before. I mean, just nothing was working. My cholesterol was going up. I had said, God bless my wife. I mean, she even reported it to let me hear myself, right? That was terrible. I had high blood sugar and cravings, and just, I was Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde all the time. And I didn't understand why. And I want to give everyone an example that I pray will make sense to you. But earlier this past year, we were able to celebrate our 20th anniversary. And we went out to eat, and we got an old fashioned to drink. And we don't drink any longer, but we did this night. Now, I bring this to your attention because if you've ever had alcohol, if you haven't, this won't make much sense. But if you have, it doesn't take much if you don't drink to feel the effects of it. Now,
Right.
if we drank every day, we would need more of that thing to create the same effect.
Yeah.
And many of us on here, I'm sure, have been told to eat every few hours to keep your metabolism elevated, right? And
How
the
many of that
problem
was
with
you?
that is every time you eat food, your blood sugar will go up and, well, insulin will go up. Now, if you're a diabetic, you're
Right.
going to inject insulin to bring it back down. And the more frequently you do this, the more resistant that our cells become. Now, all of those warning signs on the right start popping up 15 years before we lose control of our blood sugar and they diagnose you with diabetes. Now, once the diabetic diagnosis occurs, you have no longer have blood sugar control, and your cardiovascular disease risk goes up 80%. Alzheimer's and dementia goes up 81%. They now call it diabetes type 3. It starts to
That's
show its
huge.
face early
That's
on. You start to
crazy.
get brain fog and forget why you went in the room. Where are your car keys? What am I doing with my kids? These are all warning signs of this. You start to develop this sugar because your insulin can't keep it under control in your joints. That's osteoarthritis. They tell you that it's old age. Your body's starting to pee more frequently to get rid of the sugar. It's stuffing it into your female parts. Ladies, you're getting polycystic ovarian syndrome like my wife had for 20 years. Neuropathy. I mean, I used to treat nearly 1,000 patients patients a week. If
Holy
I told
cow.
you how many cases of neuropathy, neuralgia, and
Wow.
sciatica that I took care of in migraine headaches, insulin resistance. The reason I'm bringing this to your attention is because we have a huge problem. They're now on alcoholic fatty liver disease, and our 3-year-old child out of control. And 1/3 of all
This really
teenagers
got
in
to me.
America have
Is
prediabetes. That's insulin resistance, bon voyage, diabetes, and obesity. So we have a problem. And when I saw that, I love to find solutions. And I went on a quest. And someone cared enough about me. And when I saw this, honestly, it really honest mine. Our company that we've partnered with, and I feel so blessed to get to work with, they realized in the 80s that, well, the drug statin to bring down cholesterol. And they realized that what was causing this issue was taking it out of the food. Well, they thought, well, let's just put the fiber in the food. And this is what they did. There's over 24 clinical places like BYU, UCLA, UNLV, Stanford, Cornell, just name a few. The Cleveland Clinic, the #1 heart institute on the planet, why would they be listed in the very book that doctors kind of uses their Bible, if you will? You can look up any medication, you can look up the side effects, and you can look up nutraceuticals that I'm going to share with you that someone shared with me. Now, nutraceuticals means they're standardized. Physicians love this because they know batch per batch Boston's getting. Though what they don't like with a supplement is, well, I mean, they don't know what's going to happen in each box or each batch. These are all third party tested for herbicides and pesticides, bacteria, and carcinogens, and they know dose per dose what they're getting. Now, these, because they're nutraceuticals and they're found in the PDR, you can actually use your HSA and FSA to purchase these. These also are found now in 64 countries around the world. They're patented, they can't be copied, and they work so effectively. We have so much research on them that we guarantee them to anybody that uses them for 90 days. Now, here is where I was really excited. Not only are they in the PDR, not only do we guarantee them, but it's $5 and about 10 cents a day. It's less than a cup of coffee. And here's how the protocol works. It's a 3-step process. The standard American wakes up and they eat break fast thanks to Kellogg's. The word break fast means breaking your fast. And the last thing you want to do is consume refined carbohydrates where the fiber is stripped. Ask any diabetic, what are they told to drink when their blood sugar is too low? You can put that in the chat. And that's because there's no fiber in there. And the fiber keeps the blood sugar low. And if your blood sugar stays low, insulin stays low, that you either make or you take. Now, what we teach and what we do with people is we give them this incredibly delicious willpower in a packet chlorogenic acid tea. This acts like a natural metformin and GLP-1, the shots that everybody's doing. This is willpower. It crushes food noise and keeps your blood sugar nice, low, and stable.
I'm almost
And
done
when
with mine.
insulin is low, the fat's got to go. So for breakfast, you're burning your love handles for fuel instead of eating. When you get to lunch, if you're hungry, you eat your meal. This will spike your blood sugar and break fast. Now you're going to grab your second packet of willpower and you're going to mix that up in the bottle. It tells you exactly where to do this. You can make it hot, you can make it cold, and you sip on this between lunch and dinner. If you're anything like me, I used to have if there was food laying out, I had to eat it. I didn't understand if it was just one pretzel, that was keeping my insulin levels elevated, and insulin is your insulating hormone. So I sip this tea till dinner. When I get to dinner, if that's my biggest meal, I'm going to use the fiber matrix, the most studied fiber on the planet. This right here is clinically proven to reduce your LDL. This is a natural statin. It brings down your triglycerides better than anything on the planet. It brings down the A1C triple better than metformin that has a black box warning. It also increases your good HDL, and it suppresses your blood sugar spikes by 43%. Well, why is that important? If your blood sugar is lower by nearly half, would you have to inject more insulin or less? And that's the protocol. it's cost neutral and it pays for itself. And if you're saving money on this protocol, feel free to put dollar signs in the chat. Now, with this is supposed to be our competition. Well, look up statins and all the warning signs and side effects in the physician's desk reference, anything from coronary artery calcification to blindness to diabetes, increasing diabetes in females in menopause 50%, to neuropathy, neuralgia, cirrhosis of the liver, the list goes on and on. Also, low libido, low estrogen, testosterone, and progesterone. I don't know many people that want to sign up for that, and they knew a different way. Also, metformin, that has a box warning. They used to call them black box. That means you can die from it. And Ozempic also has a black box warning. Well, this right here acts like Ozempic, and it acts like metformin, and this acts like a statin. And bariatric surgery, if
right
people
here.
get so frustrated and don't know what to do and know they need to lose weight, when they have the surgery done, they're told to eat 5 to 6 meals a day. The problem is, even if you're eating smaller meals, every time you eat, your blood sugar goes up. Your insulin goes up. When insulin goes up, it tells your body to store fat for fuel. And when insulin's high, you cannot burn fat for fuel.
Right.
And so this is why the weight comes back. So that's supposed to be our competition. Now, what I want to do is I want to highlight someone currently.
All right. I'm going to stop sharing there. So what we're talking about is how are we going to reverse insulin resistance? What are the opportunities? What are your options? So welcome in. I'm Coach Ken. I'm the nutrition coach that helps people reverse insulin resistance. I am one part of Healthy Together and Feeling Great. I'm up here in Anchorage, Alaska. Welcome in. We just were hearing from Dr. Kenny, who is an incredible doctor that helps explain this really, really well. I'm going to delve a little bit more now into some of those practical aspects. Now, that's kind of the extras. I'll come back around and talk about that. But I always like to ask 4 questions about how are you eating? How are you exercising? What are your extras? And who are you encouraging? Now, with that, one of the things that I find is really helpful is to get a good idea about where people are on this journey. And I don't know where you're at. Just type in the comment. As I try to get to know people, those of y'all that are showing up here, I would love to hear where you're coming in from today. Where do you call home? Like I said, I'm up in Anchorage, Alaska. We've had some great weather and the snow is melting a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit. And on this, I would love to hear where you're coming in from. So on my journey with this, what led me down to this, that I was diagnosed. Whoa, there we go. That's interesting. With type 2 diabetes. And when that happened, my doctors didn't explain anything to me. That led me down the road kind of where Dr. Kenny was. Now, I want to share with you here one of the pictures about where I was at. Where for me, my wife, Dr. G, was diagnosed the very next day, actually. From me, or the very next month, I'm sorry, with pre-diabetes. Now, her being a doctor, she had all kinds of connections and folks that she could talk to. And so she did. She talked to a friend who was a nurse and a diabetes educator. Now, with that, led us down this way. Hey, what do we need to do? And this is where I was. This is where I was at. You can see the difference in what happened when I was diagnosed with diabetes and what happened when I reversed it. Now, for me, I was on blood pressure medications. They was out of control. I've been on it for 15 years. Anxiety meds. Might still seem like I have a little bit of that. Acid reflux. All right. These are all signs of insulin resistance. And we got Maria down in Texas. Where in Texas are you? I always love seeing people from Texas. I got family down in Texas. That's awesome. I grew up going to Texas like every summer and just about every winter too. So you can see my journey, just a little bit about what happened for me as I was addressing this. So the thing that we were dealing with is something that's called insulin resistance. I'll see if my slides are going to advance over here or not. Let's see what happened. Whoa, I lost my source. Where do we go? Where do we go? Right? We had it there. Now I lost it. Let's see if I can get that back again. I am sharing. Add my source. Not sure what just happened there. That was weird. Um, love technical difficulties. Y'all be patient with me for just a second, if you will. Um, let's see. Uh, we're gonna stop sharing for a second. Not sure why it did that. Um, let's jump in here. Thought we were doing it just fine. And maybe. Are you kidding me? There we go. We want to be able to see that. Take my place. There we go. Is insulin resistance. That's what we're talking about. So, how did we get here? How do we get here and how are we dealing with it? Well, we look at this list of all of these things that are impacting our lives, right? So, we sit there, and insulin resistance can start between 10 to 15 years before you're ever diagnosed. That's where my pictures show is that journey that I was on. Now, what does insulin resistance look like? Well, insulin resistance is this whole issue where our cells are so full of fats and sugars because that's what we've been eating all the time that they no longer respond to the insulin when it tries to bring it in. And so when that happens, our blood sugar spikes and our insulin spikes. Blood sugar, insulin, grrr, grrr, monkey. All right. So welcome in. So what's been happening is we've been going on this issue and we're not having it addressed. Now, we usually think about insulin and we think about diabetes. Well, what is diabetes? Well, if you look at the chart up here and we look at what that plays into, diabetes is, I like to say, it's insulin resistance on steroids, right? Because if you look at that very first part of this, you see what is diabetes? Sugar and glucose builds up in your blood longer than normal. All right. So it's impacting. Insulin is the hormone from the pancreas that keeps that blood sugar down. So when we are out of whack there, when we're dealing with that and our insulin's out of hand, what happens is our blood sugar is too high and our insulin is too high. And when insulin is high, the fat will defy. When insulin is high, the fat will defy. So, you know what? If you're going to be rude, you can go somewhere else. If this isn't relevant to you, Wonder Musics, go somewhere else. Go do your own page. All right. So, what's the difference now with diabetes? So, just to hit on this a second, type 1 diabetes are people that something has happened. It is a autoimmune disease. The body has attacked the pancreas. You don't make insulin anymore. You're going to need insulin. With the majority of us that are dealing with insulin resistance, we make plenty of insulin. The problem is we consume too many carbs and sugars and we're too sedentary in our lifestyle. So we've got to reverse that. You may have been diagnosed or know somebody that's pre-diabetic. How many of y'all know somebody that's diabetic? Most of us know at least 10 people. If you know 10 people that are diabetic, type 10 in the comment. Or maybe you know 5. Type how many people you know if they're pre-diabetic or diabetic. Type that number in the comment. I know well over 10, but I'm going to go with the 10 and put that in there. How many people do you know? 93% of us in the US are metabolically unhealthy. And so we need to identify that aspect. So pre-diabetes, we're looking at a 5.7 to a 6.4 when it comes to those A1C numbers. All right. So if you're there, you're pre-diabetic. This is the time that we want to take seriously. I know I've listened to people that have said their doctor's like, oh, we're just pre-diabetic. Okay, that was my wife. And her doctor gave her 4 meds. She took it very seriously that pre-diabetes was there. I was diagnosed with diabetes. My doctor didn't give me anything, actually. She said, go eat less and move more and come back in 6 months and we'll see. I'm not really sure why. I just didn't know what to do. So this is really, really important for us to understand what's happened in our health and this journey. So that's what we're dealing with when it comes to that. Now, How are you eating? This is the dilemma that we've gotten into. How are you eating? The modern diet dilemma that we have is we are eating all day. Think about this. How many meals a day were you taught to eat? Most of us were taught somewhere between 3 and 6. Type the number of meals that you were taught to eat when you were growing up, because this is the dilemma that we have. And this is part of what Dr. Kenny was talking about when it comes to the issue. They took fiber out of our food, and we ought to just put it back. That would be a great solution. Only it's not that easy, is it? Because we don't know. No one is telling us this, but in an apple, it's packaged in fiber. That's what pectin is. We'll drink when you go to the doctor's office, you go to the emergency room and you've got low blood sugar. What are they going to give you? Juice. What? It's sugar water. It's wonderful, sweet sugar water. Got a little flavor to it. Rice, basmati rice, is packaged in fiber. White rice, not packaged in fiber. This is the dilemma that we have. Okay. Now, that modern diet dilemma is we eat all day. And what you see now is every time we eat, our blood sugar spikes and our insulin increases. It's the blood sugar, insulin, blood sugar, insulin, blood sugar, insulin. It's that scenario that we talked about earlier that is causing such a problem. When insulin is high, the fat on our bodies will defy. When insulin is low, the fat will go. That's why it's so important that we recognize what hormones are doing to our bodies. Now, the food pyramid, we've shifted that. We've gone from a pyramid over to a funnel. We've moved from this priority on carbohydrates, which spikes blood sugar and leads to that insulin increase. Now, you think about this. Has it really changed? What do you get when you go to the store, to the steakhouse? They bring it to you in a basket. They give it to you free food. Can you stop for a second and say, they give you free food? And does that ever make you go, things that make you go, free food? Why would they do that? Why would they just give you free food? All you can eat. Basically, it's a buffet where you get all that bread. Then you go over to the Mexican restaurant. They're going to bring you a basket full of more free food. What are those free foods that they're giving you at the steakhouse, at the Mexican restaurant? Type that in the comments, all right? Just one word. Just type in there. What is it that they bring you? Free food. I mean, free food. What is it that they bring you? And then we hear medical professionals say, we don't pay attention to the old food pyramid. Really? Because that's exactly what you are doing. Because when we consume carbohydrates at the beginning of a meal, it disrupts our insulin pathways. The blood sugar spikes, our insulin increases. Our bodies no longer make GLP-1. GLP-1. Have you heard of GLP-1? If you've heard of GLP-1, type yes. If you've never heard of GLP-1, type no. That glucagon-like peptide is a catabolic hormone made in your small intestines. Your body is making that, and that is the hormone that crushes the food cravings. That's the one that brings it down and lets the brain know that you're full. So when we eat in the new food funnel, or the way I like to call it, because when we start up there with that proteins and dairy, all right, the vegetables and the fruits, all right, we're getting fiber, we're getting proteins, we're getting fats. That helps us to feel full. Those whole grains, that's what they give us for free. Bread and chips every single time. Now, what do we got to do? If we're going to reverse insulin resistance, we have to change our lifestyle. How are we eating? Well, most of us are eating with carbs first, right? What do we need to do? This is what I needed to do when it came to being sick. All right. When I was sitting there at 200 pounds, you saw that picture, sitting at 200 pounds, I needed to lose weight. I was swollen. I was bloated. I was sick. I had a high blood pressure. I was in extra large. My pant size was going up. What anything I do about it? I had the skin tags. I had migraines, acid reflux. So many of those issues that so many of us are dealing with. My wife was dealing with neuropathy and fibromyalgia. Then we got diagnosed with diabetes. And we were both cancer survivors. So, and my wife and I are both widows. And we lost our spouses to consequences and complications around insulin resistance. So what we want to do is we want to change how we eat. We want to change how we eat. And the simple thing we want to do is to eat in a certain order. And that helps us to control our blood glucose levels. That order is to focus on eating vegetables and protein first, Carbs last through meal sequencing. Huge, huge. Even the CDC says fiber is the carb that helps you manage diabetes. We could change that. We can change everything if we just would start to eat in the right order. So we can look at it very simply. We start with fibers, veggies first, proteins and fats next, carbs last. Now, how many of us usually start that way? Ideally we start with a salad, right? That's how simple it is. Take salad serious. I need to remember that. Take salad serious. All right. There's your starting place of fiber. Now, that's how we break our meal. And look, I'm a redneck from down south. I like my fried chicken, my fried catfish. I love my mama's banana pudding. My wife is from New Orleans. We eat great food. If you like to eat good food, type yes in the comment. If you like to eat good food, let me tell you, you can reverse insulin resistance and eat good food. It does not mean that you have to eat crap. It doesn't mean you have to eat a weird ass diet. All right. If you've watched some of my videos, I do cast iron kitchen. I love to eat good food. You don't have to eat bad food. We don't eat less. As my wife says, we eat less often. And that's the second part to this. When we start to eat less often, I mean, how many days, again, I'm going to go back. How many do you find yourself eating? When I work with clients, I ask you, don't tell me how much you eat. Just tell me when you eat. Take a notebook, write down every time you put something in the pie hole, right? Tell me every time you put something up in the pie hole. Makes all the difference in the world. Makes all the difference in the world. How many times are you doing it? What I find is most people, we're average US Americans. We put things up here between 6 and 11 times a day if we are mindful of it. Intermittent fasting is not as intimidating as you think it is. If you do meal sequencing, if you come back, right, and you do that meal sequencing like we just talked about. If we do meal sequencing and we change the order that we eat until we're full, right? We eat until we're satiated, and we eat things that are satisfying. If your thing is vegan and you've got a great vegan, awesome. If you are carnivore and you just love to eat a good steak, great. Eat until you're full. That's the key. We're not going to be snacking all day, because what that chart up there says over to the right of the screen is that rather than trying to restrict calories and fighting your mind, what we're going to do is we'll do intermittent fasting, and that lowers those insulin levels greater than calorie restriction. And it puts us into a calorie restriction or calorie reduction anyway. And when the fat's low, or when the insulin is low, the fat will go. And that's what we want to do right there. So we do intermittent fasting. Now, I recommend going 2 meals a day, and I like 16 and 8 is a really simple way to do this. Or go to 18 and 6. Now, there's a lot of different ways. The most popular is 16 and 8. I like 18 and 6 because what we want to do is to see our bodies change. And the easiest way to do this is to stop eating at 8 o'clock, no snacks, don't eat again until 8 in the next morning. That gives you 12 hours right there. Now, the tempting thing is to break your fast, like Kellogg says. And just out of curiosity, what is your favorite quick breakfast food? Type that in the comment. For years, for me, it was Pop-Tarts. Man, Pop-Tarts were the thing. That was a go-to. Pop-Tarts and oatmeal, right? Those were huge because, man, I would go to that. And instant oatmeal, anything instant was great. In our day and age, instant is awesome, right? It's definitely the way to go. We got to be quick. We got to be fast. So what we started to do is we adjust that and we start to go and we extend. What happens? Well, within the first 4 hours, when you stop eating at 8 o'clock, your blood sugar comes back down, makes your sleep better. It takes about 10 to 12 hours for the hormone insulin to come back down. And when that happens, now your pancreas gets a break. Your body begins to detox off of that sugar. Your body begins to reach into the fat stores, all right, on your body, pulling that fat out, using that for any sugar that you need. That's usually where you're going to get the dawn effect. If your blood sugar spikes in the morning, it's because your body's tapping into that and saying, hey, give us some more sugar. You didn't eat enough sugar, but you did. But your body's conditioned to having more of it because you're addicted to it. So we want to break that addiction. So the body's of doing a sugar detox. Oh, did I lose everything? It looks like my had an internet blip there. There we go. So with intermittent fasting, we want to get to 18 hours. We get into autophagy. Our body begins to regenerate stem cells. We find ourselves in a place of, I think everything is working. I apologize, folks. We had some issues there. What we want to do is get to that place of autophagy where we begin to regenerate. Our human growth hormone increases. We have stem cells that increase. All of the dying cells, our body grabs those and throws those into the recycling bin. We use those for energy. We, in essence, start to age in reverse, if you will, with those human growth hormones. So that's key. And so the thing next on this list is to start to look at how are you exercising? To reverse insulin resistance, anything works. Movement helps to control blood sugar. If you just, I love this picture. It's not, you don't have to be a professional athlete to move, right? You just need to start moving. Get up, get off, get going, get off your ass, get moving, okay? Whatever it is, you gotta move. You got to move it, right? You got to move it. I love that. So let's move it. Okay? Simple things. Get up and move. Within 10 to 20 minutes after eating, get up and get going. Doesn't have to be complicated. Take a stroll, take the dogs out for the walk, chase the cats, chase the kids, go have fun. Do chores around the house. I know it's not exciting. Go vacuum. Hey, go do yard work. I know it's winter time. We got to go shovel snow here in Alaska. All right. That's what we want to do. There's a lot of great things you can do. We actually have a couple of videos that I do about metabolic exercises. I hate getting down on the floor. So I like to teach people exercises that you can do sitting or standing up. It's not that I can't get on the floor. It's just a pain in the butt, right? So just start moving. And that is key, as simple as you can. We're not trying to run a marathon. But if you want to do that, that's certainly an option, right? But what are your extras now? So we talked about how are you eating? How are you exercising? What are your extras? And for us, there's a lot of extras that we get hit with between supplements, between medications. We have questions about what to do. As a diabetic, as somebody dealing with insulin resistance, medications are a big thing. When we look at the list, pharmaceuticals are huge. That's a huge part of controlling diabetes, right? Huge part of heart disease, cholesterol, statin medications, metformin. We're talking about things that have black box warnings. Oh, actually, box warnings. You can't call them black box anymore. But they have the warnings because they can compromise your life, right? That's huge. That's a big problem. So metformin, all right, box warning with that. Ozempic, Mounjaros have box warnings with that. Side effects abound. And many of them lead to weight gain. They lead to one another. So if you start on a statin, it will lead to metformin, leading to lisinopril because you're going to have high blood pressure. You got the high cholesterol, right? Neuropathy because that metformin stripped the body of your B12. With all those medications, it's possible you're dealing with acid reflux. With all those medications, you get a little depressed and anxious because those start to interact with your body. You get on a depression medication. Your heart continues to struggle. You get put on a cardiac arrhythmia, you get put on a metoprolol, and by and large, in time, you eventually get into type 2 diabetes. Now, I say these because these come from my wife, Dr. G, who as a dentist for 30 years saw this pattern consistently. Now, your pattern might be a little bit different. If you recognize some of these meds, type yes or type me in the comment. Let me know what have you heard? What are some of the meds in here maybe you are on or you know somebody that is on them? 3 of these I can identify. I was on acid reflux medications. One of mine that's not up here was medications, Excedrin being one of them for migraines. Well, that helped to tear up my gut, right? Which is part of why I had to be on GERD. What the doctors never told me was that extended time on GERD and acid reflux will lead to diabetes. And over 50% of the people, if you're on acid reflux med, omeprazole, for even just a few weeks, I was on it for almost 20 years. No wonder I was diabetic at that point. I was depressed and anxious. I was a cancer survivor, testicular cancer. So testosterone is a big part of my journey with diabetes. How many of you that are coming in, welcome in, what are some of the ones up there? If you recognize these meds, just type me. If you know somebody, type yes. All right. This is some of the extras that we deal with. Well, with us here at Healthy Together and Feeling Great, we recognize that and we found a solution that worked for us, and we work with our clients. And so if it's something you're interested in, we do our coaching based around this. And that is a very simple solution that is an extra that has an incredible amount of research behind it. Those medications that we just looked at, they're all listed up in the PDR.net, the provider's digital reference, which my wife being a prescribing doctor, this was important to her. When we were diagnosed with prediabetes, she called a friend that was a nurse and a diabetes educator and said, go to the PDR, find this protocol. So we did. Well, what she found, it had the 20 clinical studies, that it's HSA and FSA qualified. It is in over actually 60 countries. It's patented and it's guaranteed for up to 90 days. And it's one that fits in with this lifestyle. You can look at some of the universities and places that this was researched. And it is a very simple protocol that actually is vitamins in there, but it's food. That's the key. When fasting, we drink an yerba mate concentrate, Unimate, that's gone through a purification process. We drink a fiber matrix. Both of these are in the provider's digital reference, the PDR.net. So your doctor can look this up even and prescribe it. Game Genie, good morning, brother. How are you today? Good to see you today, sir. Glad that you're here. Hope you're doing awesome. Where are you coming in from, by the way, Game Genie? Good to see you. So this is key because these right here help to control your blood sugar levels, your blood glucose, because once you get diagnosed with diabetes, here's the thing, that is going to increase your chances of cardiovascular disease by 80%. Alzheimer's, type 3 diabetes, up to 81%. We're talking about kids as young as 6 getting diagnosed with non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. We're looking at teenagers, 1 in 3 now are pre-diabetic. And if you've not been told, that's 1 in 3 in the United States of adults. So adolescents now match us adults in the realm of pre-diabetes. Well, that's scary because this is all something that can be reversed, and it is dietary, and it's you taking control. And that's what I want, is you to be the hero of your story. And that's what this does. And it is incredibly simple. So we bring the fiber back. We bring a fiber that's been studied at the University of Sydney and the Cleveland Clinic. Here's the crazy part about this. When God created the world, did God create pharmaceuticals or did God create plants? You type in the comment, what do you think God created? Did God create pharmaceuticals or did God create plants? Think about it. Think about it, right? Plants. Plants came first. Well, what is plants? Fiber. Fiber is where we find plants. So fiber has been studied and looked at to help control blood sugar levels, to control those triglyceride levels. That's what this fiber does. And it's a nutraceutical because it is standardized. That's what that number tells us right there. All right. Now, to crush those food noise and those cravings, we drink the yerba mate. This UT right here has been studied as well to increase our body's natural GLP-1 to crush the food cravings, but it too works like metformin. That's a game changer right there. Now, you don't have to do these in order to get the benefits of every single thing that we've talked about today. In fact, this is just those extras that says, let's put us on track to do this. The protocol fits with our lifestyle. All I do is I wake up in this morning, rather than opening with a breaking my fast, I jump in and I drink a tea. I drink this delicious chlorogenic acid yerba mate tea. All right. That knocks down my food noise. I'm not having to eat right now. All right. Don't feel the cravings. When I get around lunchtime, if I want to eat, I eat. If I need to extend, I extend, and I go on and I just drink another one of these yerba mate. When I get to my meals, All right, I'll drink a balance to make sure I get fiber. I clothe my food in fiber. If I'm eating out at the steakhouse and I don't have this, I'm going to clothe in that side salad, which I'm going to do anyway, right? Because fiber is the carb that helps to control blood glucose right there. And I like some vegetables. I'm not going to tell you or anybody else how they can or should live. Now, if you're wanting to work with us, that QR code down there in the bottom is the way to do that. Thank you all so much that have liked and subscribed and that have been here through this day. So, the last question that I ask on this journey is, who are you encouraging? You can have everything in life if you want, if you will just help enough people get what they want. Do you have people in your life that you want to be well? You don't want them to be sick anymore? Then this is the place to talk about it. This is what we're talking about. If I want to encourage you that you can be the hero of your story on your health journey. If you are sick and you are tired of being sick, if you're tired of the brain fog and dragging ass every day in the afternoon, if you're tired of feeling that bloated feeling, if you're tired of the cankles, right, and being sore at the end of the day, if you're tired of the skin tags, if you're tired of the joint pain, if you're tired of the sleepless nights, if you're tired of 4 a.m. wake ups, if you're anybody, if that's you, type me in the comment. If you're tired of those things, you don't have to stay in that situation. Why we get sick is insulin resistance. And that can be reversed. That's what this whole thing is about. So here's the thing. This is our testimonial that I shared at the beginning just about me. This is me and Dr. G. This was us when in 2024, in December, I was diagnosed with, in 2023, with diabetes. Dr. G, the very next month, with pre-diabetes. We changed this protocol. We went down this road, and we have helped so many others do it. We're talking about hundreds to thousands of people that we partner with, our team and our coaches, to help people heal. And not just about weight loss. Well, that is part of it, because being metabolically healthy means we get to a healthy weight. We're talking about mind, soul, and body. We're talking about blood work that's actually backed up in what we talk about, not made up things, not made up stuff, but we're talking about actual third-party research. We're talking about some of the most respected institutions that have addressed studying the protocol that we do, that simple tea and fiber, that's a nutraceutical that has had the extensive tests that have done on it to say this works. Now, just like any medication, not for everybody. That's okay. That's why we teach everything. You don't have to be on the protocol to get the benefits and learn how to reverse insulin resistance. To work with us, that's a key part of it. Being on the protocol is how you work with us. Now, I get on here and all the videos, everything we do are here to help you. That's what it's for. And when I say it's not just us, I'm saying it's people all over the world. So we can see just some of the stories that are up here, some of the stories of some of the people that have gone through this life change. So those of y'all that have been with me here, maybe you've got questions. How do you reverse insulin resistance? You've kind of been through here. I know I'm still kind of new to this whole format. I was on TikTok for a long time and said, I'm done with it. I like YouTube better, and thought, hey, I'm going to come over here and hang out with the folks at YouTube, because TikTok's just a pain. And this is such a much better space. So tell me a little bit, those of y'all that have come in, where are you from? What are your concerns? What is it that's kind of percolating in your soul today? How can I help? Maybe you've got a question on here. All right. If there isn't anything, I'm going to be hopping off here and sharing this. So this will be saved, so you can come back and check it out and get this information. There's a lot of more videos that are up there. If you didn't subscribe today, I really want to encourage you to jump over and do that as well. Thank you so much for being on today, and know that I'll be back again. Probably not tomorrow. I might be tomorrow, but it's going to be a little bit different day. We're packing our house and moving, so or at least selling. So we are moving. But anyway, so thank y'all so much for being here. As I say each and every time, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Check out some of the videos that I can help with. That's what we're here for at Healthy Together, Feeling Great. If you are interested in the protocol, if you're interested in working with us as coaches or getting in touch with us, that is scan that code down there. That is my link tree, so that you can get all the information about what we do. All right. Thank y'all so much. Oh, by the way, our Book of Face, our Facebook group, love to have you join in there. We got all kinds of great stuff. We're doing our sugar detox right now, so would love to have you come and be a part if you want to join that. All right. Whew. Good to see everybody. Thank y'all so much for being here. Anybody else? Where are you coming in from? Just kind of want to see. All right. I know I do more presentation and sometimes I don't slow down to have conversation. So give it a minute or two as y'all are coming through. I'm kind of playing with this. Oh, there it goes. Weird. Look at that. Y'all are coming in. This is kind of cool because I have not done this. Woo! We'll go back through my slideshow, my slide deck, and take a look at things. So this is what we've been talking about. And I've been playing around with this a good bit. So it's been kind of fun looking how this computer works and how to do this presentation. What did y'all think of it? What did y'all think? Some of y'all are just sitting there, you're being quiet. What did you think of the presentation? What did you learn something? Was something like, you're kind of like, ooh, mind blown, or going, this dude's nuts. He didn't know what he's talking about. Come on. Okay. Well, I'm going to jump off, but thank you for being here. I hope this was helpful.